The Santa Claus 3 Saving Santa's Workshop, adapted by James Ponti, based on characters created by Leo Benvenuti and Steve Rudnick, based on the screenplay written by Ed Decter and John J. Strauss. Lucy Miller's best Christmas ever began one chilly December night. Her Uncle Scott made a special visit to her house. Lucy had a huge secret. The secret was about her Uncle Scott. It was a secret so big that she wasn't allowed to tell anybody. Uncle Scott was Santa Claus. How did Uncle Scott become Santa? Well, he found a big, red Santa coat on the ground outside his house. When he put it on, he magically turned into Santa. The night Uncle Scott arrived at Lucy's, a strange noise filled the air. It sounded like the jingle of bells. Lucy knew exactly who had arrived. Uncle Scott is here, Lucy yelled. She raced into the backyard. Uncle Scott was sitting in his Santa sleigh. He climbed out and picked Lucy up. He gave her a big hug. Then Uncle Scott told Lucy why he had come. His wife, Carol, was about to have a baby. He wanted Lucy and her family to come to the North Pole for Christmas. They could keep Carol company. Lucy could not believe her ears. She was going to the North Pole for Christmas. Lucy's parents were excited, too. A trip to the North Pole? They'd love to go. They all packed into Santa's sleigh. Off they went. When they arrived at the North Pole, everything was just as Lucy had imagined. Elves were busy decorating the North Pole's main town, Elfsburg, with lights and signs. All the elves had rosy cheeks. They wore hats that covered their pointy ears. Lucy and her parents rushed straight to Santa's workshop. It was amazing. The whole room was filled with elves making toys. Curtis, one of the North Pole's top elves, tried to explain some rules about the toy factory. But Lucy was too excited to listen. Lucy had dreamed of going to Uncle Scott's toy factory. Now that dream was coming true. Uncle Scott showed her all the toys. She could not believe it. There were so many. Lucy smiled and laughed. It was hard not to be happy at the North Pole. Then Uncle Scott left Lucy with the elves. This would be a fun day. Suddenly, Lucy noticed something. One of Santa's machines was broken. Standing right next to it was Jack Frost. Lucy thought Frost did not look like a very nice man. Lucy was right. Frost was not a nice man. He was jealous of Santa. Now Frost was trying to ruin Christmas. He wanted to start Frostmas. To do that, he had to destroy Santa's workshop. Frost knew he had to behave around Lucy. She was Santa's niece. He smiled and tried to look warm and friendly, but that was hard. After all, his head was covered in icicles. Frost showed Lucy around the toy factory. They stopped by some elves who were making dollhouses. Lucy had never seen anything so beautiful. Frost asked her if she was getting one for Christmas. Lucy said no. That was just what Frost wanted to hear. Jack told the elves to stop what they were doing. They needed to make Lucy a super deluxe dollhouse. Right away. Lucy was very happy. She hugged Frost. He was not used to being hugged. Then Lucy pulled some more elves away from their jobs. They began to build her the best dollhouse ever. The elves worked hard. But Lucy was so excited she didn't realize what was happening. All the elves were working on her dollhouse. So, fewer toys were being made. Frost smiled. His plan to take over Christmas was working. The toy factory was falling apart. Soon the holiday would be turned into frostmoss. Uncle Scott came back to the toy factory. The place was a mess. The assembly line was broken. The elves were missing. Not enough toys had been made. He let out a cry and left. Lucy heard the cry and looked around. Now she knew why Frost had been so helpful. He wasn't trying to be nice, he was trying to ruin the toy shop. That couldn't happen. She called for backup. Lucy got everybody to work on the toy line. She asked for help from some very special friends. The Sandman, the Tooth Fairy, and even Scott's son, Charlie, came to the North Pole to make toys. This time, when Uncle Scott walked into the toy factory, he was happy. The toys were made. Frost's plan had been stopped. Santa would be ready for Christmas, after all. Uncle Scott gave Lucy a big hug. She smiled. Uncle Scott always did things for other people. Now Lucy had done something for him. And that, she knew, was the true spirit of Christmas.